If you're curious about my story and how I started the Maniscripting Journal and why, and just my overall career path of being an entrepreneur and starting and pivoting so many businesses, you're absolutely going to love this episode. And I'm actually so excited to share this with you because you might be in a place right now where maybe you're confused about what you should be doing. Maybe you have thought about pivoting your business or career and you just feel like that is just such a dumb idea. And why would you do that and start all over again? But I am a living proof and sitting right here to tell you and recording this episode that trusting your intuition and pivoting and changing career paths and changing businesses might not make logical sense, but they are all leading you towards exactly what you should be doing. So I'm going to take you all the way back to me being in college and graduating. Now, I went to college and even I did classes in high school in order to go to med school to become a doctor because my passion about the human body was just unreal. I was obsessed with it. I loved it. It was so intriguing. I loved the thought of being able to help people and heal people. And in my last couple years of college, that mentality really started to shift for me. I started kind of seeing without really seeing, like looking back, I had no idea what I was feeling or experiencing, but I knew that this whole medical system, something feels a little bit off. Something doesn't feel right. The things I was learning in classes and even at a pre-med school classes, which you don't learn too much, it just prepares you for med school. But I was already noticing like, why are we doing certain things a certain way? And it just wasn't sitting 100% correct with me as far as, oh, this is going to be my career. And mind you guys, to those of you that are listening and maybe you are in the medical space, I know we need doctors. We need everything that we have, but there was just something within me that was not aligned with going down this path. And it was very confusing because one, I was young. I was like, about 21 years old by the time I graduated college. Two, I'm a first generation immigrant. So my parents, I was born and raised in Australia, but my parents immigrated from Poland to Australia. Then we moved to America when I was about 12 years old. But when you are the child, especially first generation, like your parents tell you and they show you that they sacrifice so much to get you to this country and land of opportunity. And basically, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be something prestigious. And luckily for me, I already had that drive anyway. So, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are first generation or even second generation that have that pressure to be a success, especially in your parent and family's eyes. So for me, it was more of a time in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been working so hard to go to med school. And now all of a sudden, that is no longer aligned for me to go do. And that was a very, very confusing time in my life because not only was I terrified to tell my parents that I'm not going to med school, but I was also just confused about, okay, if not med school, because that's what I've been focusing on the last 6-ish years, what am I going to do? And so what I ended up doing, and I didn't know this at the time, like this was an intuitional hit, right? Like this was a moment, a very pivotal moment in my life. I was at a crossroads where I could go to med school to appease everyone and not feel like I wasted time in college and going to college to go do this, right? Or I could follow my heart and follow my gut feelings and be like, I am going to go and just figure it out. So because I was so scared to tell my parents that I was no longer going to go to med school, I'd already made that decision. I wrote them a letter and I said, I'm going to take a year off and figure it out. So that year off and figuring out basically meant my parents, even though they are so loving and supportive, like it was just like that unsaid rule with like, okay, if you're not going to med school, well then you're kind of on your own financially. You got to figure it out. We've been helping support you through college and all of that. Like now you just got to figure it out at this point. So that really put a fire under my butt. So at the time of going to college, I had kind of just like not just random jobs, but for the first time in my life, I was finally able to model and act. Like, I'm tall, I'm 5'10". Everyone my entire life told me I should be a model. Why don't I model? So I dabbled in it in college, which was really fun. And from there, I started making really good money doing it. I was modeling, I was acting, I was doing a lot of spokesmodeling work. I was traveling around the country, sometimes even the world for different things and making really good money doing it. So I'm like, you know what? I can just do this. So I moved to Scottsdale, Arizona. I went to college down at U of A in Tucson. And for there, I started modeling and acting and traveling. And I then started a video production company because I had learned how to kind of do that by being in studios and learning like, oh my gosh, I could totally do this myself. So I learned how to edit, how to shoot video, how to set up lighting. And this is all before influencers were a thing, you guys. Like, the word influencer did not even exist yet. So I started a video production company creating marketing videos, which are literally what UGC content is today. Like, literally like marketing testimonial videos, product videos for business, for their Amazon accounts, for YouTube's, for social media, all of that. I started doing all that and I was making really quickly like 6 figures a year with that company that I'd started, and it was amazing. So here I am out of college, living in Scottsdale, Arizona, making really good money. But at the same time, I knew I wanted to do more. And I had known that I wanted to move to California. One, I was born and raised in Australia on the ocean. I really miss the ocean after living in Arizona for a really long time. And I knew that I wanted to move to Los Angeles. But I had also heard so many of my girlfriends, because I was in the modeling and acting space. So I had a lot of friends that had moved to LA that either complained that it was so hard, they hated it. Some had moved back because they had failed living out there because it was just so expensive. They weren't booking jobs. And this really made me feel like, oh my gosh, like if they can't make it, if it's that hard, I'm not going to go do that. I'm just going to stay comfortable right here, continuing to create these videos and content for businesses and companies, which I truly love to do, and model and act and just travel. But I was also missing out on so many opportunities because I didn't live in LA and I wasn't there for auditions every other day and meeting people and casting directors and that sort of stuff. So I really ignored a lot of the kind of red flags for myself by not following my intuition and by being in alignment and just staying comfortable. So after a few years of this, things were going really good until they weren't. I had hit what my version of rock bottom is when I actually got arrested. And I just recently started speaking out on this. And this was something that I had to really work through and work on, because when it happened, I was shamed for it. I felt really guilty about it. It was really bad. And here's the thing, it was something that was so freaking petty. And I'm going to dive into the story because you should know it, because if this ever happens to you, or just the thought of like, whenever you hit that rock bottom because you've just been ignoring so many red flags, like this is what's going to happen, because the universe gives you that wake up call. It's going to give you that wake up call. And by me sharing my story, I hope that whatever is a red flag for you, stop freaking ignoring it, because it's going to get louder and worse and worse and worse till you do hit what your version of rock bottom is in order to change your life. So instead of going through all that, like, how about just listen to red flags and don't do that. So as I am in my mid-20s, making really good money, I have a really nice luxury car, I have this awesome brand new luxury condo right in the heart of Scottsdale, Arizona. So guess what comes with making good money? I'm having a good time. I was in the scene. I was partying every single weekend. Well, I did work a lot on weekends, but also I was definitely the work hard, party hard type of person. And it was fun. Like, how is it not fun to be in your 20s? You're going to every single nightclub in town. Every bouncer knows you. The bartenders know you. You're getting free drinks. You're getting bottle service everywhere. You're getting invited to tables like, hello, I was living the dream, okay? But this idea of living the dream really wasn't what I was meant to do, because one of the nights of going out, I literally had just gotten to the club and probably had a couple of drinks, which back then I could drink like a freaking fish. Okay. And after having a couple of drinks, I did not feel so good. And right away I went to the back of the club, the back door of the club. And I told my bouncer friend, I was like, I need to freaking go. I need a car. Like, get me in a car, put me in a cab, whatever, send me on my way. Did that. Mind you guys, my condo was literally like 3 minutes away from this nightclub. Okay. Like literally right down the street. And so my friend put me in the car, put me in a cab. Okay. Ubers weren't really even a thing yet. I think they were just starting, but they weren't really a thing. And so got put in a cab. I pull up to the house, and at this point, things get very blurry. Things get really crazy at memory wise, black out a little bit. But all I remember is getting to my apartment. I didn't have my wallet because I'd run out so fast from the nightclub because I felt something was off. I didn't have any money on me. The cab driver was yelling at me because this was seriously a $5 cab ride. $5 cab ride. He was yelling at me that I didn't have cash. I could have easily just gone into my apartment and probably got some money. But at this point, I am so out of it. And hindsight, I was like, 100% something was put in my drink, and 100% I was just on the verge of just completely blacking out. And he was just yelling at me, and he had called the cops. So within minutes, the cops pull up, and this is so blurry, but I just remember the feeling of it. And they roll up and they asked me, do I have money to pay? And I said, no, my apartment's right there. And here's what's funny is this was truly the best case scenario looking back, because one, the cops could have just told me to go inside and get some cash and bring it back. It was $5. But instead, they arrested me. And they put me in the cab and in the back of their car, because I basically used a service, and it was basically I forget what the word is, but it's basically stealing, because I used a service and I didn't have money or intention to pay for it, even though it was just hot mess express over here. So I went to jail that night, and a lot of that, I don't remember anything really. I got put in a cell, a holding room, holding tank. I think that's what they have in Scottsdale. It's just not a good time. And I wake up the next morning and I call my dad, which it's just funny that I called my dad because I could have called anyone. I'm of age, but I called him to pick me up. And from there on, it was just kind of downhill for the next few days for me, because I felt so embarrassed. I felt like the world knew. Nobody knew this, by the way. None of my friends even knew from that night that I went out with that this had happened to me, because immediately, my parents were disappointed, kind of shamed in what had happened to me. I was 100% roofied, and I really wish that the cops at that point had done some sort of test or something, but I'm sure they just probably thought I was just some other drunk girl in Scottsdale going out, right? So typical. So the best thing that could have happened to me that night was getting arrested, because who knows what would have happened if I had gone into my apartment, or God forbid, passed out in the nightclub, or gone home with somebody from the nightclub, whoever's intention it was that had given that to me. So I'm so grateful for that experience. And those next couple days and even weeks, I think it was, I was really just embarrassed and depressed, yet nobody knew about any of this. This was all in my head. And from there, I was like, this is it. This is ridiculous, Sam. It's time to fucking change your life, because this isn't the path you want to go down. You are not the girl that gets arrested. You are not the girl that is should be going out partying every weekend. You're made for more. You are more. Why are you doing this to yourself? So what I did is I found The Secret on TV. I needed something inspirational. And back then, really, there wasn't what we have on social media today. There was no accounts that were sharing influential stories or how to change your life or anything like that. You had Oprah and Tony Robbins, I think. I think that was it. And you didn't really have access to them. You had to buy DVDs. There wasn't really anything online. So I found The Secret and I watched that. And if you haven't watched The Secret, definitely watch it. It's not everything to do. It's not the whole picture of what you should do to manifest and change your life and stuff, but it is such a great starting point. And for me, it really opened my eyes to, holy shit, you can actually think and write down and visualize what you want, and it can actually happen. What the heck? how did I not really understand this? Like, I knew this, but I didn't know this. You know what I mean? And from there, I literally was at a point where I was desperate to change my life. I did not like the situation. I hated that I wasn't living in California and in Los Angeles. And I knew I really wanted to do that. And I knew I'd been putting it off, and I needed to just go try and just start over. Because at the same time, I just felt like I was in this vortex in Scottsdale where that was the energy I was in. I was in the party zone. I was in the zone where, people did flaunt and flash, they made money and they did this and that. And I know I was in it, and I knew I couldn't change my circumstance without getting myself out of that vortex. So I decided this was the time to move. So I wrote down all of my goals, and I still have this vision board today. I wrote down every single thing that I wanted from my new life, where I wanted to live in LA, what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to model and act and all these different things that I wrote down that I really, really wanted and wanted to manifest. And I created a vision board around this. And from there, I just started taking action on it. And every single day I would journal, and meditation came in later because I didn't really know I didn't know anything about meditation. No one was talking about meditating back then. And from there, I really started working towards making this a reality. So that's where the inspired action comes with manifesting, right? You can't just write things down and think that your life's going to change. It doesn't work that way. So what I did is I started looking at places in Los Angeles, just even online. And then I ended up getting this awesome spokesmodeling contract with Ferrari that was taking me to many cities in California. And what was really cool is I met some girls that lived in LA. And one of them, she was my bestest friend. She was my only friend in LA, along with my agent that also lived in LA. And from there, I asked them hey, I'm trying to find a place in LA. Can I come crash on your couch so I can come look at places every single weekend? So I started doing that. And then all of a sudden, fast forward 3 months later, and this was the most difficult part on my journey, is I wanted all these things, but things were just not working out for me finding this place in Los Angeles, okay? And I know this is getting not off track, but this is all part of the story, because finally 3 months later, I found my place in LA, and it was actually in a city that I was not even looking at. I was desperate. It was the last weekend before I was starting a big job. It was a spokesmodeling job in LA. And I, at this point, needed a place because I could no longer sleep on the couch of my friends' places. It was just it was not a vibe. And so I had checked out 3 last places in a city in Hollywood. Actually, I was looking at Santa Monica for all those 3 months. Then finally, the last day before I was going back to Arizona, I looked at 3 places in Hollywood. The last place that I looked at, I literally walked in, and on my vision board, I had a picture of the Hollywood sign on my vision board, signifying moving to LA, right? Hollywood. I shit you not. I walk out because it was a 2-bedroom apartment because I needed a 2-bedroom. One of the bedrooms was going to be the setup for my video production company that I was obviously bringing with me. And the master bedroom of that apartment, I go out onto the balcony and I can literally see the Hollywood sign. And I get chills and I want to just cry thinking about this because at that moment, I was all I already knew walking into that apartment, I was oh my God, this is it. And that's when I just knew and just instantly saw how the power of manifestation worked. And it was just insane. So from there, having that proof, I just kept going with it. Are you a woman with dreams of unleashing your full potential, but you feel there is something holding you back? I want to introduce you to the Maniscripting Journal, the #1 selling manifestation and goal-setting journal designed exclusively for empowering women just like you to up-level and change your life. This journal is your personal guide to manifesting your dreams and unlocking your true potential. Inside its beautifully curated pages, you'll discover powerful daily journaling entries, workbooks, and exercises to set goals, plan your dreams, and manifest the life you deserve. It also offers an online community of like-minded women on the same path as you, which includes free masterclasses and support to help you during this transformation, so you are not alone. Say goodbye to overwhelm and hello to clarity. With the Maniscripting Journal, you'll develop a positive mindset, nurture self-love, and create a roadmap for success. Join the thousands of women who have already embraced the power of manifestation and changed their lives with the Maniscripting Journal. Take the first steps towards a life filled with purpose and joy. Visit maniscripting.com today and embark on a transformative journey by ordering the journal. And as a podcast subscriber, enjoy a special 20% discount on your first journal order at maniscripting.com by using the code podcast. Empower yourself and script your dreams into reality with the Maniscripting Journal, because you deserve to create and manifest a life that you're obsessed with. See show notes for details. After that, I got into LA, got into Hollywood. I was modeling, I was acting for many years. And from there, I became a fitness influencer because I was actually a fitness model. And that's when the influencer thing kind of started. So I became a fitness influencer and I was creating online programs because everyone kept asking me, hey, Sam, how do you work out? How do you do this? So I created workout programs. And then from there, I was really loving being an influencer because it was just fun for me because it tied in the video production part of my company. So that was just also easy for me. So I knew how to create really good video content. I knew how to do that for brands. So I started doing that. Then I was getting these really awesome contracts with creative contracts with different brands. So people started asking me, Sam, how did you do that? How did you land these big brands? How did you become a spokesmodel for these big brands and partner with them and all of that? So that's when I was all like, okay, well, I can create something to teach you how to do that. Just how I used to create fitness programs to teach people how to work out. I can do it to teach you how to start this business. And I had other entrepreneurial business building experience with building out my video production company. So I created a social media influencer course and I started being a coach for that. And slowly I was kind of starting to get burnt out with being a fitness influencer and just in the fitness space. So I started pivoting more to being a social media influencer coach. And then from there, I started getting questions on, oh my gosh, Sam, how did you build your business? How did you build your online thing? How do you do email marketing? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm like, okay, I got this. You're interested in that? Cool. I will create a program and start coaching people on how to build and scale an online business. Because at this time, it was an incorporation of everything, right? Of literally what I was doing for teaching people how to be a social media business influencer, but also how to grow an online brand or personal brand on social media. So now I had pivoted to that. Now, fast forward a couple years of being in that space and absolutely loving it. And also when I started becoming the online business coach, at that point was another pivotal part where I had to shut down my video production company. One, I was feeling burnt out, but two, I couldn't do both because I was so busy creating video content for companies that I just didn't have the energy and space to obviously launch another business. So at that point, that video production company was making way over 6 figures, which was amazing. And this is where that logical thought comes in, where it's like, oh my God, you're freaking crazy to shut down this business cold turkey and just say goodbye to that income, which was 95% profit. It was just dumb, right? If you tell anyone that oh yeah, I'm gonna shut down this business, but I'm gonna start this new one from scratch, basically, because being an online business coach, it's a whole new level of, gaining clientele and clients and selling out courses and all that sort of stuff. I was starting at zero, but that's what I wanted to do. I was feeling called to do that. And that means I had to create space and make room for it. And I couldn't do both at the same time anymore. So I shut down that business, and then I got into online business coaching and got into masterminds and all of that, which was amazing. So I grew that business and company, and I was doing really well with it. I was creating really great courses. I had wait lists, and that was really fun. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit. And when that happened, this is where I started sharing my morning routine as far as journaling goes, meditation goes, and everything, because my entire audience and so many of my clients were, of course, panicking, right? Everyone was you're either losing money in your business because you lost clients, you either lost your job, you had to pivot to online, and everyone was it's just panic. It's panic. You just don't know what's going to happen in the future. There's negative news everywhere. So that's why I started really sharing what I do for my morning routine and with journaling and basically what the Maniscripting Journal is today. Like that's what I was sharing for them to do. And the feedback I got from that was just absolutely insane. Like the feedback I got was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what are the prompts that you say? Oh my gosh, what is it that you do? How do you meditate? What do you use? All of that. And I'm just like, instantly I got this intuitional hit and I'm like, oh my fuck, this is it. I have to create the book. I have to create the journal. I have to put this in a journal. This isn't a PDF download. This isn't just a one-time conversation kind of like theme or phase in my social media posts. Like, this is it. And when I got that intuitional hit, I was fucking pissed. Want to know why I was pissed? Because I had just gotten my online business coaching, my business coaching business to a place where I had systems, I had assistant, I had wait lists, I had everything finally figured out. I had just finished like really expensive masterminds that I was in to really like set up just like the strategy and everything for my business. And now all of a sudden, I'm about to throw that away and start something new. So yeah, I was a little mad, but at the same time, I was all like, shit, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Like this is just like screaming at me. So immediately what I did, and I was at that point in the middle of a coaching container. I had a 12-week program. I think we were maybe just getting started or maybe halfway through that already. And I said to myself, like, you know what? Like you can do both right now because right now this is just the idea phase. So just get it started and see what happens before shutting down another business and starting something from scratch again. So what I did was I took what I did from my morning routine and I created a template out of it. And I did it in Canva. Canva, 100% free 99 to do. I did that. I designed it in that. And I asked about 20 women in my community if they would do a beta testing group. Because at this point, I wanted to make sure I wasn't just getting this fluffy feedback from people that were just excited in the moment. Like I had to know, like, beta test it. Is this really going to work? Does this really work for others like it did for me? Because at the same time, I thought everybody did this. I thought everybody journaled. I thought everybody set goals. I thought everyone did visioning and all of those things to help you manifest your dream life. And it was just so interesting to me that when I started sharing it, like how excited people got over it. I was all like, oh my gosh, no one actually does this. But I'd been doing it for so long, it felt normal to me, normal to the point that I thought others were doing it. So I started a beta testing group with about 20 women on Facebook. And then from there, all I asked from them is, hey, you can come into this, work with me 30 days for free, basically kind of as a coach, but more of as a support system. All I ask from you is to do this every single day and jump on a weekly call with me. And I promise you it's going to change your life. So every single week, I jump on these calls with these women and they'd all share what's been happening for them while using this journal, this PDF download that I made and the feedback that I got. And it was just like insane. I had women that were instantly like manifesting more money. I had one woman that had written me a few messages saying she was so sorry that she couldn't show up on calls because we had calls on Sundays, because she had met a guy. She was using the journal to manifest a partner. And every single Sunday throughout that month, like she had met him and every Sunday was the only day they could get together and go on hikes and brunches. She's like, oh my gosh, but this journal helped me bring him to him. So I'm so sorry I can't make the calls. I am doing it, but also holy crap, this actually works. And then I had a girl that got like a promotion, the stuff that she was writing about. Like every single woman in that group and jumping on those calls was just like blowing my mind, because it was actually working. And not that I was surprised, but I was, right? So from there, I'm like, holy crap. Yes, we got to do this. And I had never manufactured anything in my life. I had never sold a physical product online. Everything that I'd done to date was either online based or in person based. Nothing else. So from there, I started just Googling and YouTubing how to manufacture, how to import products, what are the next steps. I had just recently been in a mastermind where everyone in that mastermind, they weren't just online business coaches. It was like everything. They were just everything. So I had so many people in that community that I had reached out to, like, does anyone know anything about creating a physical product or a journal or this or that or the other? So I had a lot of resources I could instantly tap into. But even if you don't have that, YouTube. Everything is online for free. If you have a question, I guarantee you can find an answer for it online for free. So don't think that you need a crap ton of money or coaches and all that sort of stuff right off the bat to launch your brand or business. You can figure it out yourself. I promise you, because if I can sit here, tell you about the Maniscripting Journal, I promise you anybody can. Okay. It's just taking that time and effort to do it. So from there, I found a manufacturer and created my first sample, which was it was so easy. The only thing with creating a physical product, especially in this day and age, there's a large barrier to entry because you have to spend quite a bit of money to really place your first purchase orders, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Because it's a good thing because it means like you really have to be serious to start this kind of brand or company or business. But it is also a bad thing because you have to risk a lot. So after getting my first sample of the journal, which, oh my gosh, it's so far off from what it is today. Like, it's so funny looking back and seeing my first edition. And I remember when I received it, I cried and I was like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to change so many women's lives. And it sure did. But after last couple years of just updating it and making changes and improving it, oh my God, it's like night and day from what it was from day one, which is a good thing because guess what? That's another thing. You don't have to be absolutely perfect to launch. And you shouldn't be, because if you are absolutely perfect when you launch, you waited too long. I got the samples, purchased a large order of journals, and then was my first big hurdle when it came in. And that is, well, during COVID, right? Everything was delayed, importing from overseas. And yep, my container was one of those that were sitting out in the Los Angeles port for 3 months. So we had launched our pre-sale. And literally within a week or two, we were told like, oh yeah, your container is probably like 2 to 3 months from coming in. And that was not fun. But that was something that we just had to deal with, and our customers and all of that understood, which was fine. But that is truly how we launched. And that's how the idea for the Maniscripting Journal was born. It was something that came to me, that downloaded me. I wasn't seeking it. I was just living my life and paying attention. And that is my biggest, not just ask, but I want you to understand. When you are doing things in your life that are aligned, when you are following your gut, following your excitement, following the things that feel good, things just start happening for you. And a lot of times, things do not make sense in the moment, or just even stuff that's coming up. Like, for example, with me going to college, going to med school, then deciding basically last minute to not go to med school and become a model and start a video production company. Like, if you told me that ahead of time, that, hey, Sam, you're going to not go to med school, you're going to be a model, then you're going to start a video production company, then you're going to be a social media influencer, then you're going to be an online business coach, and then, oh, by the way, you're going to wrap all that up with then becoming an e-commerce brand and having a journal that is changing thousands of women's lives every single year, I would have laughed in your face. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what? No. But every single experience that I went through, and I changed and I pivoted because I followed my gut and my intuition. And that is how you become a success. That is how you stay in alignment as well. Nothing is an accident. Nothing is a waste of time, because even with all that time that I spent in med school, coming around full circle, guess what I have to do today when I'm teaching stuff in the Maniscripting Journal? We work with the body all the time, the energetics of the body, of consciousness, all of that. And when I'm listening to different podcasts or reading books or watching videos that revolve around the human body, do you know how much easier it is for me to digest that content because I already understand how the body works from being in school for it? It's wild. So everything comes back full circle all the time. But the biggest thing that I want you to all think about today is, what are you doing in your life right now? Is it your true self? Are you fully in alignment with it? How does it feel for you to show up for that every day? If you feel good, if you feel, yep, Sam, this is my fucking calling, I'm in alignment, feels good, doesn't mean it's never going to be hard. Trust me, the last 3 years of having this company, the hurdles and struggles that we've had, holy crap, you would have thought I would have given up. But I had the bigger picture in mind. There's a lot of lessons and experiences I had to go through to become the founder that I am today, to be able to hold space for thousands of women around the world that are using my product. So it's not that it's supposed to be easy. It's how do you feel doing it? And if you are doing something because you're chasing the money, or someone else is doing it and they showed it to be really easy, or maybe you're just feeling like, I need to do this because so-and-so is doing this, I promise you, it's not going to be long lasting and you're going to get burnt out. And it's ultimately, it will fail. Like, it just won't feel good. So whenever you feel that intuitional hit to make a change, a pivot, even if it seems crazy, please go for it. Please at least entertain it. Because with you getting that download, and you can even call it as like getting that idea, getting that message, however it comes to you, it can come through meditation. It could come from you just daydreaming outside. It could come to you like it did for me, just like literally sharing stuff online. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is something. If that message came to you, it is for you. You wouldn't have received that message if you weren't supposed to do something with it. So trust it and really start listening to your intuition. It's going to take you in the right direction, because you know what? When you don't follow your intuition, if you don't listen to your gut, guess what happens? You could be like me and get arrested over something really stupid. That whatever that rock bottom could potentially be for you, for the universe or source or whatever it is that you believe in, it's going to shake you and be like, wake the fuck up. Like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be here doing this. Go do the thing that you're supposed to do, that you want to do, that you desire to do. So many of us have so many goals and wishes and dreams, and we never act out on them. And then later in life, you're sitting there in regret, wishing that you had taken action on it. But we are so stuck in our heads, and we're worried about, oh, well, what will social media think? What will my parents think? What will my friends think? People will make fun of me. Fuck them. All of them. You are put in this reality with a mission. You have gifts within you that are probably untapped right now. And I want you to fully dive into it, because by diving into it, it's truly, 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 you're going to be so powerful. It's going to be so magnetic for you. And you will be successful when you dive in. And doesn't mean it's going to be a successful, like, get rich really quick kind of situation. Trust me, I wasn't paying myself for multiple years after launching the Maniscripting Journal, okay? And still to this day, I'm not paying myself very much as a founder. I'm reinvesting everything back into my company and business. We are self-funded, and I'm not taking on investors. I hopefully never. There's so many sacrifices that I've made, but at the same time, the amount of lives that I'm changing, holy shit, it's worth everything. But the one thing that I constantly see, and it's because I'm in this space of helping people change their lives and to wake up to their truest and fullest potential, I always see how society plays a role in it, where we're scared to take that leap, where we're scared to take that risk, where we're scared to take that chance. But on the other side of that is fucking greatness. So if there's anything that you take away from today's episode, is to just freaking go for it. Promise me that you will try it. The next time something comes to you that you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. Or maybe you're listening right now and you're like, shit, she's right. She's calling me out right now. I need to do it. It doesn't make logical sense. It usually never makes logical sense. But I promise you, you will always be supported and guided in decisions. And it might suck for a little bit, or you might think it sucks for a little bit, but the universe always has your back. It's always going to be rearranging for you. And it's always, always, always going to give you that best possible outcome, as long as you are following that alignment, your gut and your intuition. So with that, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. If you have any follow-up questions, please let me know. And before you go, I would love it if you left a review on this podcast. This is how it helps me get the word out about it. And if you found inspiration from this, I want others to find this podcast as well so I can help them too. And one other thing that I want you to do is take a screenshot of this and share it on social media. Make sure you tag the Money Mindset and Manicures podcast along with me, your host, Samantha, and let me know your biggest aha moment and takeaway. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.